All right, so now we're on EOC part 2. We're actually going to move down a little in class. We'll be going over the rest of the first page, which is going to be on enzymes and cell parts. But what you're going to look at today is going to be section or objective 1.2.1, and this is actually going to be from Unit 2. It should be about Unit 2.2 or Unit 2.3, where we're talking about cell homeostasis, which means to maintain constant conditions. Remember that homeostasis, when we talk about a cell, could refer to the amount of water in the cell, could refer to the pH of a cell, could even refer to the amount of salt or the salinity of a cell. All three of those things are factors that can often affect a cell or damage a cell or allow it to be healthy and live in that specific environment. So what we're first looking at here are pictures of two beakers, and here is your kind of before picture and your after picture. They're showing you in this image that these large molecules are on the right side of the beaker, and at the end they stay on the right-hand side. It also shows you that at the beginning the water is even on both sides. This does represent a permeable membrane. And in the after picture, your water level has raised up on the right-hand side, where you have those larger molecules. So here it says, explain what has happened in the diagram to the right. So if we're talking about water having been moved, what is that called? Hopefully you remember that that's osmosis. Osmosis is the movement, and I'm going to abbreviate here, MVMT, movement of specifically water, H2O, from high to low concentration. High to low concentration. Second question asks, why did the large dark molecules not move to the left-hand side? Remember that if we're thinking about concentrations and if we're thinking about diffusion, molecules are going to try to move so that they're equal. They're always going to try to reach equilibrium. In this case, those large black dots weren't able to move, and so they were probably either too big to move through the cell membrane or that permeable membrane, or the membrane was just not accepting that larger molecule. So why did the large molecules not move to the left? Unable to pass through the membrane. Third question, how is the semi-permeable membrane like a cell membrane? It is selectively permeable. Do you remember that word? Selectively permeable, which means only certain things are allowed in and out. If you're being selective, you're being really picky. And if you're permeable, you're letting something move through, just like the ground can be permeable to water. And the next question, if the dark molecule is starch, where is the starch concentration greatest, on the left or on the right? And that works the same for both pictures. Higher concentration means you have more molecules there, and that would be on the right-hand side. If the white molecule is water, the clear molecules, where is the water concentration greatest at first? So here you can actually count those water molecules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here you have 10 on this side, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side. So at first, where is it greatest? Write that in, left or right. In the next one, it says, in osmosis, water moves from an area of blank to an area of blank concentration. So here we have osmosis again. We're moving an area of high to low. Same thing happens with diffusion, except diffusion can be the movement of any molecule. Next, if the dark molecules could move, in what direction would they move and why? Well, if initially we're here, remember we're trying to reach equilibrium. So they would move, technically, to the left to reach equilibrium. These are all terms that you're going to need to remember and that you'll have to learn for our EOC. So equilibrium, having same or equal amounts on both sides. Next, in diffusion, molecules move from an area of blank to an area of blank concentration. Notice the difference here. In osmosis, we're talking about water. In diffusion, we're talking about any molecule. It can be a gas, it can be a solid, but it's still going to be from high to low concentration. Then it says to draw the arrows to show which way the water will move in each of the following situations. If you have salt inside the cell, which is 65%, and outside the cell, 40%. For these two, you should draw your pictures. Here's my cell. Inside I have 65% salt. Outside I have 40% salt. It's asking you which way will the water move. They gave me the salt, not the water. And so what would I do to figure out how much water is in the cell? You should subtract from 100. So 100 minus 65 would be 35% water inside the cell, and then 60% water outside of the cell. So will water move into the cell or out? Remember, water moves through osmosis from high to low. Where is water higher? Water is higher outside the cell and lower inside the cell. And so water is going to move into the cell. Next it says sugar. Sugar inside the cell is 27%. So here's my cell again, 27% inside the cell. Again, we're talking about sugar. 80% outside. I'm going to change my color to label the water. If I have 27% inside the cell, I subtract 100 minus 27 to give me the amount of water. So that would be 73% water. Outside the cell, I have 20% water, H2O. Water moves from high to low. So would it move in or out of the cell? Next, asking what is homeostasis. We did define it at the top. The constant internal conditions, water, temperature, pH. In other organisms, it could be like blood glucose level. And just a little reminder, we do have a special hormone that can allow us to do that, which is called insulin. And the next section right here that I do want you to finish up at home is on a little more of cell transport. I do want you to fill in this chart comparing active and passive transport. Remember that passive transport could be like diffusion or osmosis. And active transport, you might need a pump of some sort or a protein to help you do that. Whereas osmosis and diffusion, you're mainly going to move through a pore, or a pore, P-O-R-E, or through the cell membrane itself. So does it require energy? Yes or no? Does it move from low to high concentration or high to low concentration? Give an example of each. After you finish this, don't forget to do your summary questions.